Hey, welcome to writing class. Last class of the day. It looks like most of us have survived. That's great to hear. This is one of my favorite things that I'm about to show you. This week in writing, we're going to be talking about revising and editing skills. Now, some kids are naturally great at this, and it's okay if you're not, because I'm not great at revising and editing, and that's why I use this tool, and it really helps me. The tool is called the Analytic Grid, and I'll explain how to use it in just one second, but we're going to be reading this. It's a very short story. Once again, it's just one page, and it's got some revising notes already on it. Not a big deal for the purpose of what we're using it for. So what we're going to do is we are going to read this story, or you are going to read this story, and while you're reading it, you're going to fill out the analytic grid, if I can say that correctly. You're going to fill out the analytic grid. So it's pretty easy and self-explanatory. So it has the sentences on the analytic grid. It has them numbered, so it says sentence number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, all the way down. So what it asks you to do is it tells you to read the sentence and count off how many words it has. And so let's say we're reading the story and the first sentence has 7 words. Number of words, we put 7. All right. Words, first word of the sentence. So for every sentence that you read, you're going to write down the first word. So for this story, the first word of the first sentence is we. Okay. So I put the word we in this box. Now, the next part is verbs. You learned about different verbs today in reading class. There are different types of verbs, but basically, in a sense, it's showing some sort of action usually. And so, what I would like for you to do while going through this story is to highlight the verbs or find the verbs that are in the sentences and write those verbs down. Now, also the last box is for the punctuation. The reason for this box is because when writing personal narratives, you want to have a variety of punctuation. And so, after the first sentence, you'll write down the punctuation. There is a period at the end of this first sentence, and so I would put a period. Okay? And I'll go ahead and tell you that one of the verbs in the first sentence is sat. Sat is a verb because it's describing some sort of action. You sat down. So you'd write the word sat. Okay. Also, watching is a verb. It's an action. You're watching the show. So I want you to read this narrative. Okay. It's real short. And while you're reading the narrative, I want you to fill out this analytic grid. Now, we had the picnic on Tuesday, so I will meet with you on Wednesday in your small writing groups to go over the analytic grid as well as this story. Now, I have an idea of about how many things that you should be highlighting for correction, but as far as revising and editing goes, this analytic grid is amazing. So if you fill this out, it helps you to have a better narrative. So fill out the analytic grid based on this story. Everyone should have plenty of time to get this done. This video is like 5 minutes long. So watch the video, fill out the analytic grid, and you should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and model that first one for you, like I said. So I'm going to read the first sentence. We ate lunch and just sat down watching the TV as a family. Okay, so I'm going to fill out my analytic grid. Number of words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 13 words in that first sentence, so I wrote 13 in my first box. Okay. Now my second box says first word of the sentence is we. Now the reason we write down the first word of every sentence is because sometimes we start to see a pattern that we're using a word too much or too often. And that can sometimes make for a bland story and make readers not want to read it. So we want to make sure that we are using a variety of words to start our sentences off. Next one, I'm going to write down the verbs. So I'm going to write down sat and watching. Okay? And then the last part, I'm going to write down the punctuation. There's a period. Here's again. First sentence. 13 words. Starts with a we. Verbs are sat and watching. And there is a period at the end. Notice I didn't write the word period. Oh, over here, everything's backwards. I didn't write the word period. I just put the punctuation mark right there. Now, if I start seeing that I have, wrong side. Start seeing that I have a lot of periods in here, that means I need to go back and revise and add different types of punctuation. All right. Raise your hand if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and hopefully the sub will be able to help you out with that. But this is the last video for the day, so hope you guys had a good day learning some things via YouTube videos. Other than that, I will see you tomorrow for the picnic, and on Wednesday we will continue going over revising and editing. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day. I appreciate you working so hard.